We have a new sponsor of AdSpend. Do you hate money? Well, if you hate money, you're going to hate retention.com. If you love money, you're going to love retention.com. And you're going to hear a little bit more about them later in the show, but you can go sign up right at retention.com if you can't wait till then. Enjoy the episode of AdSpend exclusively on the Triple Whale Network.
Experience is actually one of our company values. We care so immensely about that user, that consumer who's consuming our product, consuming our media, all of these things, and like what their experience is amongst the brand. That literally bleeds down to like our supply chain thinks about it, our marketing people think about it, my team thinks about it, our tech team thinks about it. Every person thinks about what is our consumer feeling? Why are they happy? Why are they not happy? How do we fix that? It's so ingrained into us that I don't hire for my team of like, oh, can you do customer service? Do reactive? How proactive are you thinking? Are you 10,000 steps in front of that customer? Do you care genuinely about the experience that they're having? Everything that I build in my digital experience, the community, customer support is all related to what is the experience of that customer and what are they feeling about our brand, not just how am I supporting you.
All right, folks, welcome back. We took a quick Easter break. Ash was busy finding eggs and vodka stashed all across his lawn, but we finally got him back, repping the Whaley City, and he brought an incredible friend, Jess Cervellon. Did I do that right? I have Hispanic in me and I missed it, didn't I?
My guy.
Oh my gosh, hit me. My mom is going to be so...
It's fine. Everybody does it, so do not feel bad about it. Okay. Jess, and it's pronounced Cervellion.
Cervellion, that's even cooler. Oh man, that's like a LVMH brand or something. Oh, I love it.
Salvadorian, baby.
Let's go. And speaking of luxury and incredible experiences, you are the head of customer experience at Feastables. Shout out, Mr. Beast.
Correct. I am the head of customer experience. I have been with Feastables since the beginning. Actually, employee number 4. So before we ever were even on the market. So
that's interesting.
It's been a really wild ride, and we'll definitely get into it, but it's been an incredible and wild ride to watch like an idea go into market, to launch in D2C, then Amazon, then Walmart, and then retailers across the country. And I mean, the crazy thing is this has only has been for just a little bit over a year that we've been on the market, and there's so much more to come.
Man, that's so crazy. Yeah, because you guys you started with the chocolate bar, and now you have these nuts. And then is there any more product expansion? Those are the two big ones, right?
So we definitely have the chocolate bars. We just launched Carl gummies with Carl as another influencer.
I saw the Carly meme. I forgot about that. Yes, amazing.
Yeah. That's like honestly a really like dope thing that's just been launched too, because that's our evolution. Like not just chocolate bars now. It's gummies, and like what's the next thing? You know, and like and we're all really excited about it because this is how we take on the giant snack companies, you know, like watch this space. I mean, like, I know that sounds really generic, but that's where we're going, you know, like there's going to be more and more things that are going to come in our portfolio and more places that we're going to launch.
That's so exciting. So before we get into the cool tactical stuff, because you do some really interesting things, and the way you think of customer experience, I think is just first rate. It's up there with Eli Weiss. It's up there with just the really killers in the space. How'd you land at Feastables? How did you like give us kind of like the too long didn't read of like Jess?
I have been in customer experience for over 12 years now. But what's really crazy about my experience in like landing in Feastables is I actually come from the SaaS space. So Feastables is my 5th startup, but I actually come from the SaaS space. So a lot of like fintech, cyber tech, you know, health tech, like all of these like different types of roles, right? Like, and still in like customer experience, but in SaaS, it's a little bit different. When you think of customer experience, you think about it as like support and customer success. So in the past, like I've always, you know, have always thought about like the customer as a relationship builder, right? Like I'm building a relationship with the customers. I'm not just like making some transactional things and like give me your money and see you later. And how I ended up at Feastables is like, honestly, a little bit of luck. Like I was just on the market. I was looking for a job. I was about to like step into another health tech company, had the offer on the table, and a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn. And truthfully, I'm older than Gen Z. Okay, like
Yeah, same thing.
I'm 37. I will put it out there. Okay, the Botox baby makes me young.
Let's go.
But when the recruiter came to me, I was like, Mr. Beast. I was like, what? Like, never thought about that concept of like working in the creator economy. And the more and more like I started like peeling back that onion and like meeting our CEO Jim and our COO Tom, I was like, man, this is like a dope opportunity, and I don't care what I'm gonna risk, but I'm gonna step into this. And I and it's been a dream. It's been really awesome. I wouldn't say it's a dream. It's still a startup. We're still scrappy as fuck,
Yeah.
But it's been really awesome to not only be a part of like a startup in the D2C space, but also being a part of like the Mr. Beast brand.
Yeah.
And like, and again, we're going to get into this, but I believe like customer experience isn't just support, it's that relationship building, and like how that actually like bleeds into CPG, D2C, like, this realm of things is the brand experience, right? It's like, how am I relationship building and delivering the brand experience? And like, you put in a creator on top of that, it's like tenfold.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and like I'm just really grateful. Honestly, I'm just really grateful. A LinkedIn recruiter, shout out to that guy, because I love the spam.
Slid into the DMs. No, I think you said something really interesting there as well, where my bifurcation, I guess, comes in. Mark it down on your bingo cards. I always get shit for saying bifurcation a lot, but the split for me with like, it was so eloquently put, where customer support is like transactional. It's like, do the refund, blah, blah, blah. But like customer experience is like not only doing that stuff, but doing it in such a way that like you're their friend on the inside, right? Like you are building this relationship, and I got you. Like, I will make things right. I will make sure that you're happy. I will do these things versus, and candidly, it's a little, I wouldn't say easier, but I would say it's a more linear line in a way in kind of CPG D2C than it is B2B SaaS, because not only do you have like the support component, but you also usually have, like for us, a big education component. And we have a great customer experience team, but there's just a lot that like a lot of these people have no clue how marketing works, or not to the level that is like really, really helpful. So you start to it's more of a challenge in that way when you have this huge education vector, where it's like you have to skill up your whole team, which is one, really expensive, and two, like candidly, a lot of these people are marketers. And so for you, the ability to go in and take this experience and just wrap it up in awesomeness, I think that should be the goal, in my opinion, of most D2C brands. Because, and I'll quit rambling here and toss it to Ash, but for me, I find the customer experience touch point so interesting, because in my opinion, it's the only place in the funnel that you can make an evangelist or an enemy for life. Like if you cut the wrong way, it's like, dude, I don't care if this is the best product. I will still watch Mr. Beast, but I'll never give him any of my money because X or Y happened. Or, the shipment got lost, and all I did was go on there, and just like, of course, yeah, you know what? We'll just send you two. Thank you for supporting us. Boom. And then those two things, because I think that when we were kind of talking about this offline, but a lot of people see it as a cost center, where I think, I don't know if it ever gets to an actual profit center, but I think it gets to a place of like a break even. Oh, maybe. Okay, amazing. But you get what I'm saying. Like there's a certain aspect of like, when you flip that mindset from scarcity, cost center, this is just a drag on our business, to profit center and or like relationship building, I think it opens up a lot more, not only resources within the company, but just in a shift in framing on how you interact with these customers.
How we think about it at like Feastables is experience is actually one of our company values. So, I love that. That's one of the reasons why, like, I love honestly working under Beast Brands, because it's not just a Feastables thing, it's also a Beast Brands thing. We care so immensely about that user, that consumer who's consuming our product, consuming our media, all of these things, and like what their experience is amongst the brand. So like, that bleeds down, and I'm only going to really be able to speak to about Feastables because I work at Feastables. That's the company I work for. But like that literally bleeds down to like our supply chain thinks about it, our marketing people think about it, my team thinks about it, our tech team thinks about it, like our strategy team thinks, every person thinks about what is our consumer feeling, what is their wants, why are they happy, why are they not happy, like how do we fix that? And it's so ingrained into us that even when I'm hiring for my team, like I don't hire for my team of like, oh, can you do customer service and like do reactive? Like how proactive are you thinking? Are you 10,000 steps in front of that customer? Do you care genuinely about the experience that they're having? And again, we'll get into it, but like everything that I build in my digital experience, the community, customer support is all related to what is the experience of that customer and what are they feeling about our brand, not just how am I supporting you.
I think you made a point earlier where it's like getting into a creator-led brand, right, is very different from, say, like Avi or another CPG type of brand where we kind of create our own voice, right? And sometimes that can change or, stay the same throughout the lifetime of the business. But coming in on a creator-led brand, Mr. Beast has his own vibe, his own persona, his own like voice, right? How cohesive are you guys at like bridging that to the customer experience, right? How do you bring forth his energy in those experiences, or is it completely like a separate entity and voice altogether?
It's one of the things that like we're always going to figure out, right? It's like Jimmy can't be, or Mr. Beast can't be every place at every time, right?
Right.
And so it's like it is my task as like the customer experience leader in our company, as well as the marketing department, to ensure that we're delivering a brand voice of Feastables, but also the brand voice of Mr. Beast too, right? So it's like everything that we went to market with was very based on Mr. Beast and like what he would say, what he would think is funny, what like how he would like tone of voice things, right? Throughout every aspect of what we were doing, whether it was a campaign, whether it was a conversation online or just copy on our website, right? And I think as like time has progressed now, like we're figuring out our own voice too, but that voice in like to think about the best way to put it, this is going to be a weird analogy, but the best way to put it is if Mr. Beast had birthed a child and Feastables is that child, but like, like you have a child, right? Like that child is like a part of that parent. And it's like, and we have to be like Mr. Beast, but we also have to be like our own personality too. And it's all birthed off of it, right? Like,
right.
I don't think that there's one true answer. I'm going to be honest with you, because I think it's not just Mr. Beast related. It's also consumer related. Your consumer, just, I don't care if like you're whatever CPG brand you are, right? Like not even just a creator brand, your consumer changes every single day. And it is most important to like understand your customer, understand like their feedback, right? So like if our tone of voice going to market, or that brand voice and like all of that branded experience even going to market has actually shifted in the last year too. Like, because as our consumer, we understand our consumer and understand like their behaviors and understand like societal behaviors, like we have to conform and like change that and ever going and like grow its own personality. And I think that's actually really related to, going back to your original question, Ash, like that's actually going back to not just creator brand, just CPG in general, right? Yep. Like it's like, we're still very similar. Like even though you have this creator and this creator birthed this, right? And you have to be a level of it. It still has the same evolution, just like every other brand does.
There's actually a great line by David Ogilvy, one of my muses, and just the OG in the game, where you're not actually advertising to a standing army, but a moving parade. And so it kind of aligns with what you're talking about being where Feastables is, for lack of a better word, like a derivative of Mr. Beast, but not actually Mr. Beast. And so there's a lot of linkages, like you're saying, in terms of that birthing, where it still is his brand and all these things, but it's also like, he has his YouTube stuff. Yeah, there's just all these other properties that he owns, and this is kind of one of his children, and it needs to not only be successful, but also emulate the values that he has, but it also needs to be its own unique voice and be awesome. And speaking of that, like the branding is some of my favorite branding on the planet. And you were actually doing something really cool that you were showing us offline where kind of take us through how you think of that experience, because you did like a little chatbot thing, you did some post-purchase stuff. Like how do you think of that whole experience? Because the other thing is like customer experience isn't necessarily part of the acquisition, but at the same time, it's really cool that you think of the full funnel to understand, hey, everybody is getting this really cool experience. And I don't just start here. Like maybe my touch point starts here, but I want to make sure that this whole experience is not only on brand, but exciting, fun, and engaging.
Yeah, so I think that's actually a good segue into me like sharing my screen again. And then I can just like walk us like through it.
Love it.
You know, one of the touch points that we're talking about, right? Like this is our snack tracker 6000. So like the reason I'm like presenting this piece is because my job starts, yes, at like acquisition, but it also really truly begins after they've converted, right? And so it's like, what is that post-purchase journey? And like, how can I continuously deliver them an experience while they're waiting on their product? And granted, I am talking about like the D2C space, and like we can get into retail experience soon too. But, you know, that's how I'm thinking about it. It's like, okay, so Feastables is this like really sick brand with like really like vibrant colors and like, you know, crazy tactics and all of this stuff like to acquire that customer. But like, how do you continue to deliver that same branded experience like throughout that post-purchase? So, you know, when I'm thinking about it, all right, if my customer gets an email, I'm not trying to send you a boring Shopify email. Like I know that's like, a lot of brands do that, and that's okay. And I absolutely think that's okay. But I'm like, that's another experience touch point where it's like, I can do some like really dope things with my customer, and you supply them not only information about how to track your order, but also supply them information about the product and like FAQs, right? You supply them like this, like a colorful and branded experience throughout that journey. And then, you know, what I'm showing you guys here is like, our order tracking page that is, that we have through Wonderment. So I don't want a white page that's just like some boring things, right? And like, oh, here's where you find it. Like, what's our brand about? Our brand like is obviously Feastables, obviously silly. So let's put in a GIF here, right? Like, let's tell them like, all right, here's all of your information about like where your order is, what's in your shipment. But even one step further is like, all right, how can I supply this customer with like additional information so I'm being proactive as possible to like, so they're not reaching out to me of like, oh, what's the shipping and processing times?
Yep.
Like, how does my order ship? Like, I'm answering those questions before they're actually questions to them. I'm using this page as an opportunity to like touch them even when they're not thinking about it, right?
Yep.
Additionally, and like, you know, and this is a marketing tactic, but I also use this as an opportunity to like get an SMS sign up. Like, we're such like an SMS forward brand that at every touch point we want to try to get them into that SMS funnel. So I'm using that as an opportunity. Also, our brand is very gamified, right? Like we do a lot of like giveaways and like play a game to get this. So I use this also as another opportunity to be able to say like, okay, like while you're waiting for your package to come and you're checking this page like so many different times, like let's you know, play a game, right? And like they don't get necessarily anything on it, but on the other end, but it's like another opportunity to just kind of engage with your customer in like a different way, right? And then another cool thing that's actually like not active right now in this moment, but like another opportunity is you can also integrate rebuy into this order tracking page. So like you would be really interested, like it's interesting to know like through our order tracking page, through our order tracking emails, like all of these like post-purchase flows, we actually see a lot of buyer conversion. Because while they're waiting, maybe there was another thing that came out, or maybe they were like so excited about that purchase that they were like, oh, sick, like I'm going to order another one, like, or like maybe I forgot to add gummies, right? So you have an opportunity to like insert rebuy here. The only reason it's not live right now is because we're going through a little bit of rebranding of this page. Normally it is. But like the other opportunity that I have here is so this is like a very stagnant page that you can like engage with, but I also built out a very robust chatbot that I not only have like here, but I have it throughout the website. So I use this as another opportunity to honestly build loyalty build brand loyalty, engage with my customer, and not only just like self-service and answer questions, but how can I have a conversation with them while I'm sleeping, right? At any point in time. And we'll get into like the amount of traffic that this like bot gets. But, you know, I also, this is another opportunity to deliver a branded experience of us. Like Feasty is a part of our packaging. So I'm like instilling to that customer that Feasty is like a mascot of Feastables, and I'm doing that through like the post-purchase journey. So they're familiarizing themselves that like the customer experience team is really like Feasty support, right? Like it's like an extension of the business. And you know, that's why like the whole theme of like my chatbot is Feasty, but like here you can do my order, like all of, like answer these questions, but an opportunity to engage with your customers like through the secret door. What the secret door is like delivering like randomness to your customer, delivering that like waiting time period and an opportunity to engage. So it's like we have things here that's like, tell me a joke, there's a word scramble, and even more secret door, there's like a hidden discount. We even have an opportunity here to send us fan mail, right?
That's
and
amazing.
And then if somebody still wants to like have a conversation, like we're still on the other end of this. Like I'm not going to bother my team right now, but like we have live chat on, and I can still like type in and say like, I need help, right? I need help. And from here, it'll be like, okay, what can I help you with? Like, maybe I like want to go through my order. Hold on a second, blah, blah, blah. Real person. Like at any point in time, like you can still like get like to a person, and it's just going to ask you a few questions of like, what's your name, and then your email and blah, blah, blah. And then it'll like link you to the human. But the point of like just quickly demonstrating all these things is like this page, inserting rebuy, putting a game, FAQs, SMS, having a chatbot like that's live on your site is all an opportunity to engage with your customer and deliver a branded experience. It's not just to like, oh, I want to support my customer. I am here to deliver the most information to my customer so they can make a educated purchase, as well as engage with my brand and want to continuously come back to this brand and continuously repeat their purchases. I just rambled a lot.
No, that was
some questions.
That was amazing.
That was sensational.
So there's a lot of like features you have in here, right? Like the game or like the chat, like the GIF, right? So a lot of these things are like almost immeasurable in terms of like how it affects the consumer, like on a like a number standpoint, right? It obviously affects them in the way that they think about the brand and the mentality and the affinity towards the brand, right? But when you think about like when you're adding these things, how do you think about how these elements are, like how effective they are? Like, how do you think about that?
I think about it in terms of like how much traffic that I'm getting to him. Like, I mean, that's the best way. And I will actually tell you, I'm going to tell you something out about the chatbot that I can actually directly correlate it to conversion, like to like revenue. But I'll get there. But when I like the first metric that I think to myself is like, how much engagement am I getting? If it's like something that's like a dead piece on a page, like, and it's not getting that much traffic, let's just pull it. Let's just like not even do it. So like the game, for instance, right? I know like you can track these things through like Google Analytics or through, you know, the Wonderment tool, like all these places, right? I know how much traffic I'm getting to each piece of what's like sitting on this page. So that's honestly like one metric, because you don't really have like, I can't be like, okay, you're going to this like game and then you're going to convert, right? Like there's no true way of telling that portion of it.
Right.
But through my chatbot, there actually is a way that I can tell if they've made a purchase from that chatbot.
Retention.com isn't just sponsoring ad spend, and Retention.com isn't just there to help you grow your email funnels. They're also an amazing resource for marketers. Check out their podcast, check out their YouTube channel, check out their resources, including the 5 fundamental marketing flows you need to grow. Get all of that at retention.com. The link is in the description below.
If I'm sitting on this page, the messaging in this chatbot is completely different than like what we saw on the order tracking page. So it'll actually, the icon will pop up and it'll just say, come chat with me. So if I'm like sitting here and I'm hawing on like, oh, do I want to buy like sour green apple? Like, oh, I don't know. I'm like reading a bunch about it, right? And like, how do you make this page jump out, not just from like a picture standpoint, but like thinking about like the consumer that like needs to be like talked to, you know, not just like a visual representation. So like the chatbot will like the icon will pop up and it'll say like, come chat with me. And then if I'm the consumer and I click into it, this is the first page that I see. And it says, hey, you, I see you checking out our gummies, need a little help making a decision. And then I can choose like through some options of like, oh, I want to learn a fun fact, or I want to add to cart, or I want a product info. So like, let's just say I'm like, oh, fun fact, like what's the fun fact, right? I just recently did this. What pops up is like, oh, you know, oh my heavens, Carl screwed up in space, but created a masterpiece with these gummies. And we recently did an ad spot for gummies. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I actually took that ad spot and put that content into the bot, because I'm thinking of like the user who's like maybe wants a text based, maybe wants a visual, but also wants an interaction, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm just like walking through like the long points of like why I'm thinking through this like branded experience. So like, but I integrated like the ad spot that we like created with Carl about like the creation of gummies, right? So it's like, all right, so I'm the consumer and I'm like, oh wow, that's a cool fun fact. All right. And then you can say like, oh, want to learn more? And it's like, maybe it's main menu, learn about other products, but maybe I'm the consumer and I'm like, oh, that's really sick. Like I didn't add it to cart here, but I'm interacting with the bot and I like add the product to cart through my bot itself. And it's like, tight. Okay, cool. Yep. Sour green apples is a great choice. Like you won't regret it. And then the bot starts actually making some more suggestions of like, Mr. Beast thinks you'll love these nuts, right? So I'm going to add Mr. Beast's recommendation, right? And then it's like, okay, so then it says done. And we can just go straight to checkout. And had a little moment there because it's asking for these nuts. But I can now go straight to checkout from that bot. Again, like this is like the rebuy integration. So it's like I didn't take the D's nuts, but like it's like gonna go through that like rebuy and like offer you like other items, right? But yeah. And then from this page, like I actually through Google Analytics can track if this person has actually made this purchase. So that is my direct correlation from chatbot to checkout to purchase. And I can correlate the amount of revenue that my chatbot has generated directly through those pathways. Does that make sense?
Lonnie wanted some tracking and got himself some tracking. Let's go.
That's awesome. So like for things like this, because I know a lot of people, there's a lot of conflicting like opinions on this, where like, should I have chat on my website? Should I have pop-ups, this and that? Like, are you guys measuring, or like I guess, do you guys carry out A/B tests to see like, you know, the overall lift or not when it comes to things like this?
So we haven't A/B tested, and listen, you're gonna get the real from me. We haven't A/B tested like the chatbot because it's not set up to being A/B tested. We've done our own testing of like the rebuy integrations and like all these other things. However, I will be like with the integration with Tolstoy, it's going to actually give me a level of like I'm going to be reformatting like the chatbot and like adding more and more content before you actually get to chatbot. I'll be able to like do some A/B testing there. I just haven't done it yet. Like I'm honestly at the next evolution of it all. But I can tell you that I didn't necessarily have to do A/B testing, because that, like what I just showed you, that pathway, when we went to market and I turned on this bot, I said like, I can't turn on live chat. Like there's no fucking way I'm going to turn on live chat, because like I will die, but we're going to get a level of deflection up in here. Okay. So like what I did find was that chatbot not only deflected 80 to 90% of those conversations, because I was engaging with the customer, I was like giving them that like text-based experience, but I also found through that pathway that I was showing you that chatbot was responsible for 6% of our launch revenue. So it paid for itself, like within that first quarter, right? It paid for itself. And that was enough testing for me to know that like, all right, what we're doing here is like really different. We're writing the playbook as it's going, but like, I don't necessarily have like all these metrics. I can't necessarily like do A/B testing. I can't do all these things, but I know whatever I'm doing right now is working. And that's what I mean by like, I'm on the next evolution of it now, because the next evolution of that is going to be like video bots and like doing A/B testing with content, like actual like moving content rather than just text-based.
I actually kind of like that approach in a way as well, because I think there's a certain aspect of testing can definitely be helpful. But for me, when you are early stage and you are hyper growth, for me, it's more important to, the way I think of it is, pull on levers than turn knobs, where like optimizations are really important, but like right now there's so much green pastures in front of you guys that like definitely testing helps, but like being able to your point, think through those experiences, have some semblance of metrics to back it up and just run versus like, because Ash at Avi, they have this marketing machine built up, this brand established, et cetera, and they're hunting for those, 1, 3, 5% kind of gains. Whereas like you're talking about, one little chatbot popped you 6%, like do another one of those, or figure out like those are the levers that I think are really worthwhile hunting down at your stage. And then as you're speaking to now, like as we find things that are more established, then we can refine them and optimize them, quote unquote, turn the knob a little more. But I love your approach of kind of looking for the big levers that you can pull. And I really, when you were talking us through the architecture of that page, I love the idea of traffic and engagement, because a lot of times what I've found is a lot of performance can be generated from like reductive than additive, where it's like, what can I take away from this? And Ash does this really good with landing pages where he'll just rip sections out and like, oh my gosh, like this lander actually worked really well versus like, what can I add in?
For us, it's like we're so limited. Like I'm running I'm running one A/B test like every like 10 days to figure out if something's working or not. You guys could probably do that in like 1/10 of the time, right? So it's like that's where it's super interesting, where you can do these small changes and see if it actually like levels up a little bit. Where for us, it's like I have 10 days to carry out a test to see whether or not it's going to move the needle 10 or 20%. It's like you can do this every day, and how can you stack it up like that 2 or 3% over 10 days becomes incremental. So I think that's like super interesting to think about.
At the end of the day, like I'm a level of a marketer, right? But you have to remember, like I'm a CX leader. So it's like what I'm thinking through is like, what is that experience of that customer? And a lot of people, I wouldn't say a lot of people, I would say a lot of tools don't really think for the CX leader. They think for the marketer, right? And like, and a lot of the things that I'm like doing right now in this moment, like this chatbot, for instance, right? They're thinking about it from a customer experience standpoint of like servicing. So they don't really have like those opportunities, like they don't have the setup to be able to do the A/B testing. And so like it's like literally like go live, figure it out, and like, okay, cool, that worked, that didn't work, and then like get some results and then turn it off, turn it back on. Like, and like I'm constant, like my testing, like truly is constantly doing new iterations, like all the time, because that's like, I'm only as good as like the tools that I have, right? Like, and I enjoy these tools. Don't get me wrong. I push every tool. Every vendor, unfortunately, has to work with me is like this, because I will come in and be like, "Where's this feature? Give me this feature." Let's think about it this way. But my point is like, I mean, it's not even just about tools. It's like it's just thinking about like it in the terms of like, all right, doing the best that I can with like what I have, right? So for instance, like I get a daily fallback report of what this bot does not understand. And then what happened, and my team comes in and then it's like, all right, looks at through the fallback report, like constantly making new content about it, constantly like upgrading like the AI, like doing all the things on a daily basis. But it's like we have to constantly do that iteration, and it seems very manual, but it's like it's the best way to like test anything, right? And then second, I have to constantly like on the same thing, like look through like 7-10 days of data to then make a decision if like we should change this integration, or if we should do something different here, or change or model things like differently, or whatever it is. Like, so it's different, but it also is really similar. And I get that I have like a ton of traffic, but I still am only as good as the tools that I have. So I still have that like delay. Like it's not like instantaneous where I get a result,
Rob, I got a hot take because she mentioned a nice little buzzword. AI, right? How do you guys feel about implementing AI into the customer experience, right? So whether it's answering tickets or like the chatbot and things like that. I have my opinion, but I think there's probably two sides to it, like versus our size of a brand versus you guys. Like to hear your take on that.
What I actually demonstrated for you guys was just my web experience. Like, I haven't even told you that, like, I put that bot into our SMS channel too. But the reason, like, I'm telling you this now is because that web bot last year in 2022 deflected 1.1 million conversations. Just the web bot, right? From an agent. And granted, like, listen, they're not all like, where's my order? They're not all this, they're not all that. Like, it's a little bit of like, I love Mr. Beast, I love Feastables, like, give me chocolate, right? Which is fine, but like, I'm automating like some of that engagement, right? And then on the other side is like, I also put it into our SMS channel, which didn't have like 1.1 million conversations, but it deflected still an 80 to 90% traffic. I forget the exact amount, like off the top of my head, but just know that I also was seeing 80 to 90% of a deflection rate there. And then, so like on these chatbots, I have like this whole situation because I'm thinking about it, like, how do I automate as much as possible away from my agents? Before I had any of these tools, I actually had a CX team that was 30 plus, and it was outsourced.
Wow.
And it was an outsourced experience, and which is fine. Like, listen, some people like outsource it. Like, I don't really like to outsource my experience because, like, again, going back to customer experience isn't just support, it's a brand experience, and I'm trying to deliver that. And I'm a strong believer of those people that are in the CX team and brand should be in-house. Like, that's just my opinion. So without these tools, I would have had to continue building that outsourcing team to like more and more and more and more people, right? I'm getting to the point about AI, like, I promise you. So I have a team that's only 5 individuals now, right? And they all have like a responsibility on the team. So it's like a little bit of support, it's a little community, it's this, and this, and this, right? I have to protect my team as much as possible, not just on the external experience, but also the internal experience. So I actually am a strong believer of AI. I think that it's got some ways to go. I think like there's some like definitely some engineering and modifications that we need to do as responsible users. And there's tools out there that can help you, or you can like, code it yourself, right? But I definitely am a strong believer of AI because not only for like the external experience, I think from the internal experience to help the agents be quick and efficient, AI can actually help you come up with like information, can come up with, fix your misspellings, like it can actually help you deliver a brand voice, like based off of your help center articles, like all of these things. I think like for that internal experience, it's going to do a lot of wonders to help the team be more efficient and to like drive higher satisfaction rates. I think on the outward side, I'm a little bit hesitant, like in an outward side, I mean the external experience. Like I'm a little bit hesitant to just unleash AI completely in a conversation. Like I would rather have that a little bit more intent based. So it's like, I know that the customer is seeking this pathway or doing this path. So I like to kind of control the development of AI for the external experience, but the internal experience, like again, you can control that. You can control that experience. So it's like, you're not releasing something to the public that shouldn't be there. So like, I, again, go like to summarize all of this. I am a strong believer of AI. I think that we need to control it though. I think we need to like have a level of control. And I think that it can really help an internal team, whether it's like on the CX side or, marketing, like all these places. Like I think it can help people be a lot more efficient in creating content to deliver an experience.
So I think that's a really good take. I always get nervous unleashing automated systems when you don't know what the actual endpoint is to customer facing things, right? Like you don't know if this AI is going to go crazy. But for you guys, what could be really interesting, this is kind of just random thinking outside the box kind of stuff, but Mr. Beast has so much footage out there already. You could like upload that and make like a Mr. Beast AI where he actually like interacts with you or says your name or something like that. Like, hey, Jess, thanks for the order. Is there anything else I can help you with or blah, blah, blah. I think that's why you guys are so uniquely positioned in terms of creator-led brands, because a lot of these people, or the majority, right, are usually onboarded through some touch point with Mr. Beast, and then they land in Feastables. And so having that kind of connection is really interesting. Or just honestly, you could like anthropomorphize Feasty with Mr. Beast's voice or something like that. Anyway, there's just a lot of really cool, unique overlap. But I think you're right in that hesitancy with that, because the other thing is it can be really easy to ruin an experience. I think that's the other challenge with customer experience is like negative, in just life in general, like negatives usually stand out and last longer in your memory than the positives. So you have to really have more positives and negatives. But are you guys thinking about integrating AI into your CX, Ash, or is it going to stay fairly either automated and or just customer or human based as well?
No, I really like the way that you explained it, Jess, where you wouldn't fully unleash it. You would rather control it, right, and use it to your advantage. I think I'm like totally on the same page there. I think there's still elements that we want to have control over, especially with like we're only, like, for us, again, we're only getting like 100 tickets a day, right? It's that like unique experience that we can provide. Like, if somebody emails in from New Jersey, right, saying like, oh, like my order's lost or whatever, like our customer service girls are like, hey, Jersey girl, like we're also located in Jersey, right? So it's like these small things where you can add, and it just adds that little bit of like, it just adds to that brand affinity, right? So like the AI is not going to do that, right? The AI is going to like get straight to the point of like, all right, well, your order is here, it's not there, whatever, we'll re-ship it on us, blah, 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 right? It can get that part done, but it's that like small thing that whether you relate to the customer or say like they're struggling with, say, a product and say like, hey, like I've been using this for 2 weeks and I'm not seeing any changes, right? And so like having the CS, the agent, kind of be like, hey, like I went through the same thing too. This is some of my like feedback on how I could probably use a product, right? Or it's also like kind of gathering, and this is why I love the community so much. It's like you can gather similar examples from people in the community and just plug them into the email and be like, hey, like if you're not part of this community, check this out because this person had the same exact problem you did and this is how they solved it, right? So like, I think AI may get there. It's going to take time, but like I think for now it's, again, use it as a tool to help, not unleash it as the main source of execution.
I think what's also interesting is that a lot of people are kind of scared in the CX space. I wouldn't say scared, like I'm probably gonna get slack for that one, but like people are like nervous. That's a better way of putting it. Nervous that like AI might come for their jobs. I don't think AI is coming for anybody's jobs. I think if anything, like I literally have somebody on my team that has just joined and she's the CX tech lead. And her responsibility is in what I was talking about, like making those new iterations of like our bots and like all and the automations, right? And like really focused on like how to automate things as much as possible. And she's very ingrained into like the AI world and like all of these things. I think that's the responsibility piece of it, is like, don't just unleash it, right? I think it's like, think methodically about it and like maybe employ somebody on your staff whose responsibility is to manage these things, to make new iterations of it. And I think keep AI very intent based rather than just like unleashing it and being like hoping for the best, because that's how you're going to ruin a brand experience. Straight up, like you hope for the best. Okay, bye-bye, customer.
I think though it does get into an interesting place, and I totally agree with you guys. I think the oncologist is more at risk than the nurse. Like I think there's a lot of nuance in terms of human interactions, like Ash was talking about. I do think it gets into an interesting place when, like right now, I think AI is really good at assuming, but not really good at predicting. And I think once it crosses that bridge of like, hey, this is what you're gonna want, this is a prediction, not an assumption, I think it gets into a really interesting place. It's not there yet, but and to your point, Ash, like an assumption can be really degrading or deteriorating to a brand when it's the wrong assumption, right? Like if there's whatever the question is, it could be kind of offensive, whatever, but like when you get into the prediction realm, I think it gets into a really interesting space, and you're kind of palpitating that a little bit through some of your workflows and experiences, Jess, which is really cool to see. But that's, for me, I think the big unlock. And also, you guys touched on this a little bit as well, and this is kind of my AI thesis right now, is that like blank paper or being able to ideate in like seconds is really, really powerful. And so especially for CX, right? Like what's a funny remark, or how can I quip, or like give me some way to defuse X, Y, or Z situation. You can take that, put it through a human filter so it does land, and then that gets to the customer. And so now I love what you're doing over there. It's so I downhill. I think part of the brand experience. The change, and I it, you started to leave, like, experience the world, and that who you put no, but what that do, right? Like it's all really interesting. Look up and to get lucky in this actually, I like hey, who's actually participating, and then what was participating in it. I love statistical, but at the same time, these numbers and tell reflect on conversations. I mean, for hey, of like in for you're not just going to the sense of board. You need to kind of cult Feastables. This is we I think the the top, but the that mean stuff you saw, but feeling starts because not only are you mop crap that these up, but you're when you're 6%, yeah, there what was some brand stuff. I really encourage all these people have like, and I think your process of react. I used to work, and he made that have to about projects not doing enough. I feel like the same that if you had like you hey it's like that taking top of it. I think really long. Anyway, long on it.
The answer, like, if any about this, and like, let's learn together. I literally, as
One
I the you were like saying this come up this, like you said something about, and like this space is and like video and like about is
yeah. I think we're go for now the what really is if you can start to the comment start to put that in some of like it's really like a what like here main interaction. It's like back to be like something cards where that have here's a computer, here's what they well, and they give that person instant content and breath network right now go then view versus this month. How did they change? I think really good at through a lot of data and commonalities. That's a big lift for maybe.
And for being there, a million, right? X, is there you that is like actual consumer market and strategy, and like fun, like that.
Like a like a all of these pieces I had like data and and clue. So a lot of I'm talk stuff, but I yeah, right as I said, it's like it's a in the box, like it's together the amount of invisible, but also I change. Besides back to like on like oh message Carl were the things that were people saying can what things people on it's like all of things and it's like I found like and some like I have found a lot of you are very and for like you know so like future product so many opportunities all stations it's not literally getting stock marketing support all it's like stuff are we gonna do yeah you kind of
No, it does.
Time. You got that overlook. People are really cool. So like getting well, you know, and understand, and you kind of do this already. Better terms of survey, is understand are why did you buy some sort of between acquisition retention and it's yeah. That for that with that.
Thank
props you just I podcast last week.
See, like the third and ask bandwidth.
crazy.
Well, let's speak to folks a little bit about how can they get Feastables time.
So, Moonlight host cat which cat is all we've made
Yeah.
being a Jess show notes and also on Twitter if people whether it's like and all so
Also, for one of and it's really cool how way you're changing not in about how to create brand customer thing is again, you have to all under rapid leadership that by from that biggest yeah get any start as just like go I think more complex to narrative on what functions doing it and really nailed it.
Appreciate like I can on the internet like it was talking as you see your brain like well like really small steps as see like more like so range that you into new it's all is really the DS. I know I really reference really good some other people.
Yes.
I was looking at my stuff if I for so long I think it shocked me.
For great wall. If you ask about there, and back from Avi, but what um and season finale of coming out season 2 for that.
I really love it. He's one if she asked on to I have for return it drop really and then on the that took minutes great do that so the and tell stuff really cool.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jess, what kind of word for the me
Not
God.
found
Question.
it's not there you operate not no on we'll send you some well one more involved well even both analytics platform AI will across and then fantastic it goes out Tuesday third subscribe I mean but yet we're going to go yeah you
Oh.
let's get it done we have a that's on one hour then we're row you and we doing a lot of studios it's cool clips are so just amazing
Thank-
again for my Ken
I am
oh yeah
so past
so customers just second on it. Telling you, customer experience, almost like it's probably it's you want it. I think you want it. Be, because people have and so it's just on down the transaction. You're the since to see again much for you folks book you do we'll repeat all this just use slash favorite where Apple music there's a unrelated a really amazing called really called with good said really incredible the H episode and all out there and a little for you. I got pushed over. All right, do it. All right. Go get your chocolate. Go. Folks.